If you gave this book a low rating, just hit me up. I just want to talk. Just want to talk. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Avery and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have never been here before, what's up? Glad you made it. So in today's video, I'm kind of hopping on the train that has been running for a while. I know that this has been a popular video idea and I've been wanting to do it and I just haven't yet, so I decided that I would do it today. And it is the reacting to the best and worst books that I've read according to Goodreads. So for those of you who may not know, Goodreads is a website that a lot of people use to track the books that they're reading and give those books ratings. So each book on Goodreads is given an average rating, which is just an average from 1 to 5 of everybody's star ratings that they give the book. And there's a way that you can look at all the books that you've read and sort them based on this rating. So I'm going to be doing this and seeing which books on Goodreads that I've read are the highly rated books and the least rated books. Since I've been using Goodreads, I have only read 98 books in the past 2 years. So this is really going to be books that I've read recently. Obviously, I've read more books than that in my life, but I only started using Goodreads at the beginning of last year. So this is going to be those books that I've read so far. This is fine because these are all the most recent ones for me, so it'll be more raw that way. I'm going to click on average rating and we'll see which one is at the top. Okay, so the first book that we have with the highest rating is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. So I really love this book. I also gave it 5 stars. And the average rating for this book is 4.59, which is literally so high. I am kind of surprised, but not super surprised because I thought the book was really good. But out of all the books that I've read, I'm a little surprised that it's the highest because I also feel like though a lot of people really like it, some people also don't like it. But this is a book that follows 2 sisters in France during World War II. Germany has occupied the country and the 2 sisters are both doing everything in their power to like fight the Nazis, but also trying to stay alive and protect their family. And it's so good. It made me cry so much. Like, it's one of the books that I put in my books to make you cry video because I like sobbed the last few chapters all the way through. But it was really good, and so I'm not surprised that that is up there at the top, but it's also not one that I would have guessed. Okay, number 2, which I'm also not that surprised, is Chain of Iron by Cassandra. I also gave this book 5 stars, and the average rating is 4.47, which is also super high because I feel like it's pretty rare to see books like around the 4.5 average rating. That means that like so many people gave it a 5 star, which I love this book, so I think it's great and I'm happy that it's up here. I'm so excited for Chain of Thorns to come out at the end of this year. I've been waiting so long. I know y'all have been waiting too. But this is a book in one of the many Shadowhunters series by Cassandra. So The Last Hours is probably one of the later series that you would read. If you've never read any of the Shadowhunter books, you would start with The Mortal Instruments and then The Infernal Devices. And there's a few other books you should read before this one. Basically, the Shadowhunters world is about these Shadowhunters who are half angel, half human, and they are tasked with keeping the world safe from demons. So it's a really great just like fantasy series about romance and friendship and love of all kinds, and great books. Like, I love Cassandra. I would die for her. I don't know if that's true, but you know what I mean. I enjoy her novels. Number 3, which I'm also not that surprised about, is The Final Empire, which is the first Mistborn book by Brandon Sanderson. And I'm not surprised by this because I know that like Mistborn is one of the most beloved fantasy series of all time. And well, generally Brandon Sanderson is like the king of fantasy, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's correct. And so I really enjoyed this book when I read it. I unfortunately have not read the rest of the series. I started reading the second one and wasn't like super interested. Don't kill me. Please don't kill me. It could be that I just like wasn't in the headspace to read fantasy and so I wasn't super interested. But I really enjoyed the first one. I gave it 5 stars. Fantasy is not my normal genre that I'm into, but I really enjoyed Mistborn. Okay, now I'm going to look at the 4th highest rating, which is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Cloon. And this has a 4.45 average rating. I also gave this book 5 stars because I love this book. I've talked about it multiple times on my channel because it's so good. This is a book about a man named Linus who works in basically this department for magical children. It's a magical realism book, and he's basically a social worker for magical children. So he makes sure that they are in okay homes and they're being treated well. And he gets assigned this special case to go to this house on this island in the middle of nowhere where these extra dangerous children are being kept. And he has to go and make sure that they're being kept safe, but also that they're not a danger to the rest of the world. And when he goes, he meets the children, meets the man who is the caretaker of the children, and he basically falls in love. There is romantic love as well as just familial love in this book, and it's so good. It's so heartwarming, but it's also so funny. The children are hilarious. I was laughing through the entire thing and then also crying, and so good. I love books about found family, and this one does it. It does it. So I'm unsurprised that this book is high up on the list because it's that good. I'm, kind of surprised that so far the top 4 books have also been books that I've given 5 stars. But it also makes sense that if they're given 5 stars a lot, that I'm going to be one of those people who have been giving it 5 stars. But let's look at the last one. It is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. And this has a 4.44 rating. And I actually gave this one 4 stars, so not a 5 star from me. I really liked this book. I made a whole reading vlog when I read it, and I also did reactions to the trailer for the movie and to the actual movie itself. And so I really enjoyed this book. I think it wasn't a 5-star book for me because it takes a while to get into the meat of what's going on, and I think the first few chapters weren't my cup of tea. I was ready to kind of get into what was happening versus having so much backstory from Kaya. And so that might be why I didn't have, that last star tacked on. But overall, I think the book's great. I actually met Delia Owens once at a book signing, which was really cool. I'm a little surprised that this is in the top 5 books and that it's also so widely loved. I feel like this book is a little controversial. I feel like the ending of this book is pretty controversial, and I've heard different things, and I've even had people comment on my videos and be like, I don't like this because of this, and people feel strongly about it, I think. So it's kind of interesting that overall it's so widely loved, but I think it's very good books. Okay, so those are the top 5 books. We have The Nightingale, Chain of Iron, The Final Empire, The House on the Cerulean Sea, and Where the Crawdads Sing. And because I'm just interested, I'm gonna look at the next 5 just because I want to see what comes next. So I'm gonna briefly say those, but I'm not gonna go into detail about those. But in 6th place, we have Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, the second Strange the Dreamer book, which, I love that series, so glad to see those up here. 7th, we have It Ends With Us, which also loved that book, made a whole reading vlog about it. 8th, we have Rule of Wolves, which was the 2nd book in King of Scars, and I only gave this book 3 stars because parts of this book made me really angry, and I made a whole rant video about it, so that's interesting to see. Number 9, we have The Song of Achilles, which I also didn't love that much. I gave that one 3 stars. Number 10, we have The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which I loved this entire series by Holly Black, so glad to see this one's high up there also. Oh, not The Love Hypothesis being up here. Ooh, not November 9 being high up here. I hated that book. The average rating for November 9 is 4.3, and I gave that book 1 star. Now I'm going to scroll to the bottom and look at the last 5 books, and I'm going to try not to look at them because I want to look at them in order. The first book, which has a low rating, is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Color Me Shook. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, and to have it so low is depressing. But to be fair, it's not as low as it could be. It has a 3.6 average rating, which is not horrible, but that's also not great. But I'm very surprised by it because if you watched my video about all of Sally Rooney's books, I loved Beautiful World, Where Are You the most out of all 3 of her books. And so that makes me surprised and it's kind of sad. Rest in peace. This book follows 2 friends, Alice and Eileen, as they navigate relationships with these 2 men, but also as they navigate their friendship with each other, and like they have this long distance friendship. And I've thought it was really, really good, and I'm surprised that it's in the bottom 5 on Goodreads. If you gave this book a low rating, just hit me up. I just want to talk. Just want to talk. Okay, now I'm kind of scared for the rest and to see what else is ranked low that I like. So, the 4th lowest is Daisy Miller by Henry James. Okay, I don't really have feelings about this. I gave this book 4 stars because I liked it, but I also am not obsessed with it. Daisy Miller has an average of 3.38. It's about a woman named Daisy Miller, and she is a young American, I believe in the 19th century, and she is gallivanting around Europe with her family, and she's kind of making a fool out of herself because she like refuses to follow like conventional social norms. And it's about this man who's in love with her, but she's kind of, it's interesting. Going back, would I maybe like re-give this book 3 stars instead of 4 stars? Probably. Sometimes I do that, like I give a book more stars than it deserves, and then when I think back on it later, I'm like, was it really 4 stars or was it more like 3? Next up, in 3rd place for the lowest score, we have... No! No, I loved this book. Aww. Okay, this is Jane Austen Ruined My Life by Beth Patilo, and I gave it 5 stars, but I'm also so aware that it was not that good. Like, it was cheesy. So I'm not even that mad, but I did love it. It has an average of 3.35. So this book is about a woman who is obsessed with Jane Austen, and her husband recently cheats on her, and so she's like, screw it. I'm going to London to follow this lead to try and find these like hidden Jane Austen letters. It's fiction, and a lot of the letters that she like finds from Jane Austen about Jane Austen's like secret love life are fiction. So I could see like Jane Austen stans being like mad that like this was written about because it's not based on real life, but I just thought it was fun. And it has romance for her in it, and I just thought it was fun. I ate it up. I was literally so into this book that I was walking around campus, going to classes, like reading, crossing crosswalks with my nose in this book, risking my life to see how the story would turn out. And so I really liked it. It makes me sad that a lot of people didn't like it, but it's also only a 3.35, which could be, well, that's a pretty low rating, I'll be honest. If we look at the breakdown, most people gave it 3 stars. So it's not even like tons of people gave it 1 star or 2 stars. It's just that most people gave it 3 stars. They just thought it was average. So it's fine. I'm fine. Next up, 2nd place for the worst rating is... Dun, dun, dun. Can You Ever Forgive Me? Memoirs of a Literary Forger by Lee Israel. So this is a book that I read for class. I gave it 3 stars because I thought it was interesting, but I also wasn't obsessed with it. The average rating for this is 3.24, which is pretty low, I would say. And this is a memoir about this woman named Lee Israel who forged a bunch of like letters from prominent literary figures and other figures like actors and actresses. I can't remember exactly why she started doing it. I think she just needed money, and she figured out how to forge these letters and make them look authentic and sell them. There was a movie that was made about her, starring Melissa McCarthy, and the movie was really good. I remember reading this and just being like, wow, what she's doing is wrong, but I was also kind of like, girl boss. It's like, okay, queen, look at you making your bank. It's kind of like when you know they're doing something wrong in a movie, but you like just want them to get away with it anyway because you like the character. It's kind of how I felt, except for she's a real girl, real life woman who did this stuff. And you know, to be honest, she wasn't even that likable as a character, so I don't know why. But I talked about it in my class when we read this book. I was like, yeah, I know that she was doing something wrong, but I was also kind of like here for it, and everybody was laughing. So I also don't have strong opinions about this because I had to read it for class and I only gave it 3 stars myself, so that's fine. So the last book, which is going to be the lowest average rating of books that I've read and documented on Goodreads. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, but I don't know. We'll see. It is dun, 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 Dollhouse by the Kardashians. That's what I thought it was going to be. I really knew it was going to be this. So Dollhouse is a book written by Kourtney Kim and Khloe Kardashian, and it's so bad. I gave it 1 star. It was so incredibly horrible. I made a whole video about reading it because it was hilarious. So go ahead and watch that if you want a good laugh. The average rating for this book is 3.1, as it should be. I mean, it should be lower than that, but I'm very glad to see this here at the bottom. You guys have taste out there. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me go through my Goodreads and have some strong reactions to some of these books, because I felt okay with most of the books that were in the top 5 highest average ranking on Goodreads, but some of the ones in the bottom 5 kind of shook me a little bit because I really loved them. I had 2 5-star favorites in the bottom 5, so that's kind of wild. But also, you know, some of them deserve to be down there, and I can see that. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below if there's any books that you love that have really low ratings and that makes you sad, or if there's any books that you hate that have really high ratings and you don't understand why. Also subscribe if you want to see more videos from me in the future. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.